We continue with the philosophy of Nietzsche. We are seeing, after the introduction, a few points on the life and writings, which I can go fast. I don't have to explain much because it is clear by itself. Yesterday we said that he symbolically removed the name that was given to him, William. That name was given out of respect for the king on whose birthday Nietzsche was born, and then eventually, in keeping with his style of thinking, he shed the middle name, that is William, symbolic of his delinking himself, disconnecting himself from the religion and patriotism of his family. His family may be belonging to a particular religion, Christianity, or Lutheran family. It was a Lutheran family in which he was born. And his family may be belonging to a particular country, under a king. I disconnect myself from this religion and the state, and symbolically of that one, he removes the middle name, that is William. Then coming a few points regarding his studies. He was in a free boarding school at Farta, where he acquired excellent classical education. Classical education means education that goes to the roots of education and culture. And as far as Europe is concerned, the classical education consists in the study of the classical languages, namely Latin and Greek, and their thought pattern, because they are the culturally basic for the European thought pattern. So he had a good grounding in the philosophy, in the knowledge of the philosophy of Greek philosophy and also Latin thought. During the years 1864 to 69, he studied at the universities of Bonn and Leipzig, theology and philology. So he not only studied philosophy but also theology. Theology is one of the subjects that is taught in university. He studied theology as well as philology. And what is philology? Philology is the study of the roots of language. Going to the very roots, philology. And that is a very, an expert area. And one of the Capuchin priests, Father K. Luke, he's from Kerala, he died, he is no more now. He was the best in India. I don't think anybody will come after him to compete, to take his place. Because not only he knew so many languages, the roots of the various languages, he was a real intellectual phenomenon. And his area of expertise was philology. Also he started with the scripture. He went to all the languages in the Semitic world, that means Middle East. And then he had all the modern languages, and then the Indian languages, starting with the Sanskrit. And he had also good grounding in Indology and other various Indian languages. About 60 languages he had the command. So he had a good grounding in philology. Naturally, going to the classical languages will help. Classical languages, as I told, for the Europeans, Latin and Greek. And still the mother of those, by way of information, the mother of those classical languages for the West, Sanskrit is the mother. Sanskrit is the root of the two families of languages in the West, Latin and Greek. and the various other languages. When you go through the dictionary, we can find the roots are in Greek or in Latin, but then their roots are found in Sanskrit. So Sanskrit is the oldest language that has given rise to numerous languages, a big family of language. For a decade or so, he was professor at Basel, during which he took the doctorate in philosophy. So he had knowledge, a study of philology, theology, and classical languages, and also philosophy. And his classical studies gave some hope of the rebirth of Hellenistic culture in Germany. Some historians call him the night watchman of the history of Greek philosophy. That is, the historians give a term, a label to him. He is the night watchman of the history of Greek philosophy. And who is the night watchman? If I ask, you have heard this term, but many may not know. It is used now in cricket. Night watchman, not one who comes towards the night. Night watchman, the meaning is that one who he is expected to carry the bat to the next day. That means you keep on batting, not necessarily to take the runs, but then keep on batting, don't lose wicket, then take it to the next day. So some are called night watchmen in cricket. Here also, but that term is given by historians that Nietzsche is the night watchman or the history of Greek philosophy. That means the Greek philosophy is going to carry over to the contemporary period. Just as the night watchman carries the bat to the next day, so also Nietzsche, they thought, is going to bring Greek thought, because his interest and his expertise was in the Greek thought as well as the classical philosophy and culture. As a result, people thought he is going to reproduce Greek thought in Germany in the contemporary period. But that was only a misunderstanding. A few other points regarding his life. The two persons who influenced him, his thought, were Schopenhauer and Richard Wagner. Schopenhauer, we know, his philosophy has influenced him. Schopenhauer comes just before Nietzsche, a German thinker. Naturally, he knew his thought well. He has influenced him. And then another, Wagner. Wagner is not officially a philosopher, but he was a musical dramatist. A musical dramatist, that means he writes dramas by means of music. So that is they call opera. So he was one of the famous musical dramatists. So through that one, they are communicating a message, a philosophy. And Nietzsche was influenced by his thought as well. But he had to part with Wagner's thought, as the latter deserted the Hellenistic idealism. These are all details with regard to his moving this side and that side. They are all, he was in the philosophical infancy period. Naturally, he is only getting slowly shape. For a few years, he was in a period of intellectual asceticism, not knowing whither he was moving. That is an intellectual asceticism, dryness. He does not know, a desert experience. We do not know where to move, which way to move, which direction to move. He was in that kind of a situation. And then, so a few years, he continued in that situation of desert experience. And then finally, a renewed vision of future came to him. Some light from a horizon came to him. Now I can move in this line. He was in search. That intellectual asceticism means it is not total darkness. It is a search. But in the search, he is not sure which way to move. And in that respect, in that context of search and struggle, he found some light through which he thought he could move. And that is a new vision, a renewed vision came to him regarding the future. And then thereafter his life was a struggle for victory against heavy odds, because he already found the way. This is the way I have to take. He has decided. That was a difficult way which he was going to take. I already given the hint that he is the one who gave the transition, worked out the transition from the traditional philosophy to the contemporary period. Therefore, to bring about a change, a radical change, it is not an easy job. But he realized his call. This is the way I have to move. I have to take the lead. He is the first one to take that lead. But then it was not an easy job. It was a struggle for victory against heavy odds. So many difficulties he had to face. Poverty, losing eyesight, weakening your health. And also, there was no positive response for his thought. People were not able to understand him. I told yesterday he was born ahead of the time, because his thought was such that at that period of time people were not able to understand. Therefore, the response that he got from others was also not very positive. Against all these difficulties, he had to go. He decided. He was determined to go because he got a vision. Maybe we can compare that to the spiritual vision, a call. Once I get a call, like Francis of Assisi or Saint Paul, once you get a call, now going in that direction with enthusiasm, determination, and that is what he. But then naturally, the direction which he was called to take was a difficult one. But then he continued with that one. He at times felt irresistible impulse to suicide. Even that came to him because of difficulties. Nobody understands me, but he is convinced of the way he has chosen. And then finally, and there is nobody to buy his books. No poverty, ill health, all those things are difficulties he experienced. And then sometimes thoughts about suicide also came to him. It is during this period that he wrote his masterpieces. Now, during this period, what kind of period? During this period of difficulty. When you are in difficulty, we get a strength. The best comes out of a person when they are strangled. The best comes out of a person when they are strangled. When one is locked up in a room, there is no way to go out. Then the person gets a special energy and power to break open the door, which normally one would not have been able to do. That means we are in the difficulties, one gets the strength. The best books are written by him at this period of experience of difficulties. Even Gandhiji's or Nehru, Discovery of India, it was written when he was in the prison. When he was in the prison, he wrote that one, not in the comfortable period. This is true with regard to all the best writings come when people are strangled, when they experience difficulties. Nietzsche also, the best masterpieces means the best of his works came out during that period. During 1869 to 79, he was professor at Basel. We are referred to that one. And from 79 to 89, he was a wanderer. Not for sightseeing. His life is a symbolic. Whatever he did, the shedding of his middle name, is a symbolic gesture of I have nothing to do with your religion and with your patriotism. Very strong decision and a symbolic gesture he showed, a prophetic gesture. Here also, now after having taught 10 years at the University of Basel, he was a wanderer. As I told, not for sightseeing, in search. A good thinker is always in search. A good thinker is not a finder, is one who is in search. One who is in search. Regarding Heidegger, when he died, at the funeral oration, and it was said, he was always a seeker and always on the way. He has been always a seeker. A good thinker is someone who is always on the move, not one who has settled down. The moment you settle down, you stop your movement. This is with regard to thought, with regard to life, any aspect of life. The message that I want to give in this context is that one must be always on the move. Never think, I have already come to the goal, the end. There is no goal. We will see that Nietzsche has brought out a new understanding of goal or the climax or end. We will see that one later. So also his life. Even at that period of his life, even after getting a vision, he does not think that is still he is in search. He was wandering not only physically but also intellectually. And then they say, finally he became mentally insane. Now, how physically he was insane, we do not know. But then it is quite possible that he was made to be insane. Made to be insane means he was considered as abnormal, mad. A mad person, yesterday I referred to this point, madness. A mad person is someone who behaves other than the way I behave. Strange way of behavior, strange for me. And Nietzsche also, we find Nietzsche also is found to be, he became insane, that is what historians say, but I am giving a footnote to that one, saying, we do not know whether he was actually mad or insane, or people considered him to be insane, because it is quite understandable. People do not understand him. Therefore, he was a different way of thinker, a different style of thinking, an otherwise thinker. Therefore, it is quite possible that he was given the label that he is insane. In 1900, he disappeared from the scene, opening the curtain for a new trend of thought in the contemporary period. So, I put this this sentence, he died in 1900. I mean 1900, speciality to 1900 is the entry to the 20th century. So, at the doorstep of 20th century, he dies. But then, with his death, he has opened the door for a new trend of thought. So, I find his life, his death, and the symbolic and the prophetic action that he has done, they are all filled with thought, filled with a thought and thought. Some of his works are The Birth of Tragedy, about which we will be referring, because it is the first important work of his. The Dawn. That book was written when he was in intellectual asceticism. He did not know where to go, and at that moment he got some light. Dawn is what? Dawn is the light. So the sunlight is coming slowly emerging from the horizon. The dawn, that means it is already, there is light, I can see. So he gave the title. So even you see, The titles that he gives for his books, The Dawn, very poetic and meaningful title. Light is coming. I see the light. The dawn. And then, thus spoke Zarathustra. A book for all and none. A book for everyone and a book for no one. That is the most important work of his. Don't forget that title of the book. Thus spoke Zarathustra. And the subtitle is A Book for All and a Book for None. Subtitle may not be that important, but the title of the book should not be forgotten. Most important work of his. It is not a big book, but then all his thought is given in a poetic literary style in that book. And reading we will not be able to understand because in the form of stories, different anecdotes, but then profound. We saw yesterday his thought, his writing blended two aspects: German profundity, the depth of thought, and French romanticism, the style of writing, literary style, poetic style he used. At the same time, the thought is really profound. Beyond Good and Evil, yet another book. The Twilight of Idols, How to Philosophize with a Hammer. Again, a funny type of title. The Twilight of Idols. What is twilight? Twilight is that period of time when there is a mixture of light and darkness. The twilight. It is not dark, it is not bright. That is called twilight. And that twilight in the Eastern thinking, also in the West, mainly in the Eastern thinking, they are important periods. That is why the people in India, they light the lamp at that moment. They take obeisance for the light because it is an important moment. Darkness, light giving way to darkness. That meeting, it is not simply just 6:30, immediately light becomes dark. It is not so. There is a gradual movement. The wave is extending to the darkness is extending to the light. That period is called the twilight. And so, the twilight of idols, that means idols, where are they to be placed? Can they put them in day or can you put them in night? We cannot put them in neither of these places. So those who thinkers will understand that, immediately get the meaning of that one. Twilight of idols. Why? Because all the idols are not to be maintained. Therefore, the subtitle tells how to philosophize with a hammer. How to philosophize with a hammer? What does it mean? The hammer is used to check whether the idols are empty or not. You touch and see with a hammer whether the idols are empty or not. If they are empty, they have to be broken. And that is what he did. The empty idols, meaningless idols, are to be broken. Philosophizing with a hammer means precisely that one, breaking the empty idols and thus keep the idols that are solid. So that kind of so therefore we can find, additionally I have given only a few of the books of his, and what is given here, they are already expressive of the style of thinking. The way he is titling them, they are all expressive of the is French romanticism in his thought, the fineness, the literary style. At the same time, very profound thought, which is typically of German thinkers. So I stop here today.